Okay, let's dive right in. You shared some really interesting material that tackles a pretty fundamental challenge in DeFi, right? How liquidity pools set their fees effectively.
Yeah, exactly. Most pools today are working with, well, pretty limited data, usually just what's happening inside that specific pool.
So they're kind of blind.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Their fee mechanisms are often static,
hmm
or maybe they react, but only to internal stuff like, price drift.
Right. So they're basically operating in this little bubble. They can't really see what other pools are charging or how aggregators are sending trades or even just like general market buzz.
Exactly. And being blind like that, it means they miss out. Big time. A pool might have this tiny fee, gets loads of volume, great, but it has no idea competitors are way more expensive.
Uh-huh.
So they could have maybe doubled, even tripled their fee, and still been the best route for a lot of trades. They'd capture way more revenue. Smart contracts just aren't really set up to process all that messy outside market info in real time.
That external context, yeah, that sounds crucial. Was there
Yeah.
like an example in the sources that really drove this home?
Oh yeah, definitely. The newest DJUSDC pool case study was pretty striking.
Okay.
So it had a low fee dominated routing, but by looking externally, realizing its position, it could bump the fee up from 0.01% to
Wait.
0.02%.
And what happened? Did volume tank?
Volume share dipped, yeah, a little bit. But, and this is the key part, revenue for the LPs in the protocol, it shot up by 86%.
Wow, 86%.
Yeah, so the insight is pretty clear.
Huh.
External data, it unlocks revenue.
Okay, that's a huge difference. So the sources talk about this mechanism, fee boost, to fix this. What exactly is fee boost? How does it plan to use that outside intelligence?
So fee boost is basically designed to inject that external awareness right into the fee setting process. It allows these specific external actors, they call them agents, who do have that market-wide view, to sort of temporarily take control of a pool swap fee, within limits, of course, set by the DAO.
Ah, okay. So an agent sees an opportunity, maybe a big trade is coming, or competitors just hike their fees, and they can jump in and optimize the pool's fee just for that moment.
That's exactly it. The agent becomes this dynamic, market-aware fee manager. They process all the off-chain data the smart contract just can't handle, adjust the fee, and try to maximize the revenue from trades coming in during their control period.
Okay, and they get paid for this. How?
Yeah, for providing the service, they earn the admin fees generated while their boost is active.
Right, but what stops an agent from just, grabbing control and setting a crazy high fee, or just holding on to control forever?
Good question. This is where the mechanism gets pretty clever. It uses an economic model inspired by Harberger taxes.
Harberger tax. Okay, remind me, what's that concept and how does it fit in here?
Well, basically, a Harberger-style system uses this idea of a continuous cost for holding something, like an asset, or in this case, a privilege like fee control.
Okay.
So with fee boost, an agent who wants control has to declare a value. It's essentially like a continuous tax rate they're willing to pay in GRVUSD per second, basically. To hold that control, they deposit funds, and those funds just constantly drain away at that rate for as long as they maintain control.
So just holding the control costs them money every single second.
Precisely, yeah. It makes holding control unprofitably, totally irrational from an economic standpoint. You're penalized for just sitting on it if
Yeah.
you're not generating enough extra revenue from the boosted fees to cover that ongoing tax cost.
And someone else can take over.
Instantly. Any other agent can just match the current agent's declared value and offer a slightly higher tax rate. It's like they're bidding for control.
So the duration, how long they have control, isn't fixed. It's sort of dynamic based on their deposit and how much tax they're willing to pay.
Correct. The market itself, through these competing tax rates and deposits, decides the term dynamically. There's also something called an escape hatch that lets an agent stop paying the tax early if they give up control, but there's a little time delay on that to stop gaming the system.
Okay, so dynamic fees using external data, economic pressure through this continuous tax. And you mentioned a delay. There's a mandatory delay on the fee changes too, like 10 minutes or something.
Yes, that's right. There's a built-in delay before any fee change an agent makes actually takes effect. And that's a really crucial security feature.
Why is it so crucial?
Well, it deliberately stops agents from making instant, intra-block fee changes. Those could potentially be used for nasty stuff, like malicious arbitrage or sandwich attacks against users trading in the pool.
Okay, that delay makes sense for security. But does that mean the mechanism potentially misses out on capturing those really fast blink and you miss it opportunities? Certain kinds of MEV? Maybe.
It absolutely does, yeah. And that's a conscious design choice, at least for this initial version. Trying to grab those super fast intra-block MEV bits brings in a whole lot of technical complexity and, frankly, new ways things could be attacked. So it's a clear trade-off right now. Focus on security, stability first, rather than chasing every single last basis point of potential revenue immediately.
Interesting trade-off. What are some of the other maybe downsides or risks people should be aware of with this system?
Well, one potential issue is how well that Harberger tax market for control actually works, especially for pools that aren't huge or super active.
Like if there's not much competition.
Right, if you only have one or two agents bothering, control might end up being too cheap, which could maybe lead to fees not being managed optimally. Another really significant point is the potential shift in DAO revenue.
How so?
So the DAO does get a piece of that Harberger tax revenue. Half goes to LPs, half to the DAO. But think about it. A rational agent is only going to pay a tax rate that's less than the extra admin fees they expect to collect from their boost.
Ah, okay. So during a boost period, the DAO might actually get less direct revenue from those specific trades than it would have under its normal fee split.
That's the potential outcome, yeah. The DAO is essentially making a strategic bet here.
I bet that.
A bet that the new revenue streams unlock
Yeah.
by allowing this dynamic market-aware pricing via fee boost. That those new streams will, in the end, bring in more overall than the potential dip in its direct share during boost periods.
Yeah.
It's a move towards less predictable revenue maybe, but potentially higher revenue overall.
Okay, so let me try and wrap this up. Fee Boost aims to fix static pool fees by letting these incentivized agents use external market data for dynamic pricing. It uses this kind of cool Harberger tax thing for economic control and to stop spam. And it has built-in delays for security. But that means navigating potential changes in how the DAO gets its revenue and, importantly, deliberately not capturing the really fast MEV stuff, at least for now.
That's it, exactly. It's a pretty elegant way to bring that outside intelligence into what's usually a closed system, trying to balance the incentives, the security, and the main goal, maximizing long-term revenue for the pool and its LPs.
Yeah, it really feels like this mechanism is just, the beginning of integrating more off-chain intelligence. Thinking about that MEV trade-off again, what do you think might happen if, down the road, MEV capture is successfully built into something like this? How could that really change the game for LPs, for the agents, and, well, for the protocol itself?